How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Time for 20 series. I'm Greg, and this is the Self-Awakening Yoga, the Supine series. So Self-Awakening Yoga is something created by a man named Don Stapleton, native to Nosara, Costa Rica, and it's a inquiry within the body using your own innate wisdom and almost like relearning movement patterns without anybody influencing these movements. So let's come all the way lying onto our backs in Shavasana, just finding a relaxed position. So bring the feet wherever feels comfortable, the arms by your side, however feels comfortable. And just allow your body to rest here. All day, being two-legged creatures, we fight with gravity to stay upright. And through this battle with gravity, we begin to create imbalances or burdens within our body. It's when we become much more conscious of our movement of our body is when we can have these amazing benefits that can help us as we move and travel throughout this life. So just laying on a hard surface or a stiff surface that's not your bed for a few minutes every day allows your body to just take it easy in that ever so battle with gravity and allows you to align in a position that your body wants to be in. It allows everything to just settle. And just notice your body here with a quick scan. Noticing how it feels, knowing that whatever we did in the past few days or lack of what we did in the past few days is going to affect how we feel physically. And just noticing if there's any stuck or tight parts in our body and seeing what we can do to get those areas to just relax and soften. And now let's just begin to bring the awareness to our feet. Wiggle the toes. Notice that you have these feet. And now I want you to point the toes far away from each other. And as you point the toes, notice what the heel is doing. And now flex the toes towards your shin and notice what the heel is doing. So point and then flex and point and flex, but now try to stem this movement from the heel first, working your way up the foot. Now you might be noticing you're rocking here on the heels, and the rest of your body might be rocking as well, the head and the sacrum in line. Now just begin to really pick up the speed of this flex and extend, this heel rock, and just begin to really ramp it up and move and just allow the body to move how it's moving from the heels. Allow your body to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to not always be in complete control and just rock the heels and rock and rock and rock and rock and rock and rock. And then as slowly as you sped it up, just slowly begin to wind it back down to stillness. So I think one of the best ways when doing this practice to imagine to really allow yourself to release and have this uncontrolled feeling is to imagine like there's a puppeteer on the ceiling controlling your limbs. So at times they're just moving body parts one way or another, and you just allow the body to react. Now we're just going to do the complete opposite of the heel rocks, and we're just going to do waves. So let the feet fall open as far as they'll go. Maybe the pinky toes touch the floor, maybe they're nowhere near. And then bring the feet towards the middle, and maybe the big toes touch and maybe not. And if it's super easy for your big toes to touch, maybe you widen the distance between your feet and just allow the feet to fall in and then fall open. And then get the rhythm here of falling in and falling open like you're waving to someone underneath you. And now just begin to really pick up the pace. Pick it up. Feel the rest of your legs, your upper thighs moving as these feet just wave back and forth, back and forth. Wave, and pick up the speed, and then slowly bring the feet back to stillness. Now begin to bring the awareness to your right knee and to your right, the space right behind your right knee. Imagine that's a hand, and imagine the mat underneath you as a basketball, and just begin to dribble the back of the right knee on the mat. And now just begin to be aware of how you're dribbling the back of this knee. Is there some type of rhythm? Do you do it in any type of pattern, or is it just up and down and up and down? Do you move the knee around towards the inner part and the outer part and kind of flail it, or is everything in one motion? Nothing is right or wrong, just being aware of maybe what we do and then switching to notice how something else feels. And then just slowly begin to stop dribbling. Now we'll let that awareness jump over towards the left knee, behind the left knee, and just dribble behind the left knee. And did you do the same thing as the right leg did off the start, or did you switch it up? And was it purposeful, or did it just happen naturally? And just dribble around and dribble around. And then slowly bring the left leg back to stillness. Now both knees at the same time, let them dribble, let them dribble. Now again, do they go alternating one after the other, or do they dribble together? Is there some type of rhythm, or is it all sporadic? And just dribble the backs of the knees, let the legs move, be vulnerable. Be willing to not be in complete control of everything. And slowly let the legs come back to stillness. Let's bend into the right knee, planting the right foot onto the mat. Right knee faces towards the ceiling. Imagine like you're holding a martini glass on top of your right knee, and like you're the world's worst server, that right knee completely falls out to the right and just crashes the glass, letting the whole hip just drop, and maybe even the left hip lifts, and then roll back onto the sole of the foot. Again, someone handed you another martini and you just let it crash completely out. So no control as this foot crashes out to the pinky toe side. We just roll to the sole of the foot, and then with no control, let the knee fall open, as if someone so strong pushed that knee out and you couldn't resist anything, and just go back and forth like that. Almost as like if that puppeteer had a string on your knee holding it upright and he snipped it, and it meant your knee was just going to fall and crash towards the right. Fall and crash, on and off. Control and no control. And then the next time you roll onto the sole of the foot, roll all the way over onto the big toe side of the right foot so the knee goes over towards the left. And now just pendulum back and forth from pinky toe to big toe side of the foot. Rocking back and forth, for another 3, 2, 1, and then bring the right foot planted back onto the mat. Pick up the left foot and now bring the left ankle on top of the right thigh. And now with our legs in this same position, do the exact same thing with the right foot. So roll to the pinky toe side, maybe the sole of the left foot plants on the ground, and then roll to the big toe side of the right foot. And just go back and forth from pinky toe to big toe side. Back and forth here in this little figure 4. And go for another 3, 2, 1, back through center. Release the left foot, plant it onto the mat, extend the right leg long. Now we have those imaginary glasses on top of the left knee, and then just completely let the knee spill out. Maybe the right hip even lifts. Let the body just react. Don't resist as you roll back and forth from pinky toe side to sole of the foot, just continuously crashing imaginary glasses back and forth, just really letting that whole leg fall out. No resistance. Let it fall, And then the next time you come back on the sole of the foot, roll to the big toe side of the foot. The knee falls over towards the right, and then back and forth from big toe to pinky toe side of this left foot. Just letting this knee rock back and forth. Going for another 3, 2, 1, come back to center. Pick up this right leg now and bring the right ankle on top of the left thigh. And again, same thing, rolling from big toe to pinky toe side on the foot, just with the legs in a little different orientation. Back and forth, back and forth. And then slowly make your way back through center. Undo the right leg, plant the right foot back onto the mat. Hug both knees up towards your chest. Bring the palms of your hands onto the knobs of your knees. Let both knees fall out wide. Let them travel forward. Bring them back together. Back into the chest. Knees go wide. Travel forward. Back together. Back into the chest. Now reverse it. Knees go forward. They go wide. Come back in, and then knees back together. One more that way. Knees go forward, spread wide, back in, back together. And now I want you to pause the left knee where it is and just begin to draw circles just with the right knee. Only the right knee moves, the left knee stays. And then pause that right knee and reverse the circles and keep going. And then wherever you are, just pause that right knee, leave it where it is, and now only the left knee draws circles. And then pause and reverse. And now as this left leg is going and making circles, allow the right knee to jump in, but on a completely different plane than the left. Just drawing circles, and then pause and reverse both of those knees. And then pause again and cross the arms so that opposite hands grab opposite knees and try to draw some circles. And you'll notice everything kind of gets a little funky here. I was kind of just messing with you there. And then slowly come back through center, release the hands, drop the feet onto the mat. Now let's just begin to bring the awareness to our sacrum. So if you don't know what your sacrum is, it's that bone right above about your butt crack. And now I want you to press your tailbone down into the ground so much that your low back lifts up. And now do the opposite and try to lift the tailbone. So we're going to make a compass here, and we're going to call that north and south. So pressing the tailbone down, lifting the low back is south, pressing it forward is north. And let's just play around there. Just pressing the tailbone and then pressing it up. Press it down, press it up, press it down, press it up. And now come back to a neutral. Just flat on the mat. Now think of the edges of the sacrum and imagine like you're rolling a little ball from edge to edge so the hip lifts a tiny bit, rolling this imaginary ball. So when one hip lifts, we'll call that east, and when the other hip lifts, we'll call that west. So now that we've got our whole compass set between north, south, east, west, let's just try to make circles around, moving the sacrum, allowing the low back to come up and off the mat, and when we're in our north-south. And now that you've got a little rhythm going here of the sacrum rolling, try to trace your nose on the ceiling the same way your sacrum's going. A little sacrocranial connection here, and then pause and reverse. And then pause wherever you are, come back to neutral. Take a big inhale through the nose and exhale. Let it go. Now let's begin to reach our right arm towards the ceiling. And if your eyes are closed, just imagine a point in your head. But if you're looking at the ceiling, maybe there's a point you can identify, you can imagine a point. And I want you to just begin to draw huge circles around that point. Drawing huge circles. Imagine like you're drawing a cyclone and it's coming all the way in to that point. So the circles start really big. And then they get smaller, and then pause and reverse the directions. And then they get smaller and smaller, and pause and reverse. And as they get smaller and smaller, eventually they'll get so small that I wouldn't even be able to see your arm moving if I was right next to you. And then from there, let's find stillness in our right hand. Imagine like your right hand is grabbing onto a ski lift, and that ski lift is pulling you up and over to the left, so the right shoulder blade comes off the mat, and then keeping the arm how it is, just let the shoulder thud back onto the mat. So we reach up and over towards the left, and then let the shoulder thud. Reach up and over to the left, and the shoulder thud. You can also think of this as like a plunger. The back of your shoulder is the plunger, and your arm is the stick, and you're pulling it up and then pressing down and just letting it just drop, breaking up stuck energy in that shoulder blade area, allowing for it to thud. And then now on this next one, instead of just a shoulder, we're going to go shoulder, elbow, wrist, all in unison, all in one, just letting it flap out. And then the whole arm reaches up and over to the left, shoulder blade lifts, and then shoulder, elbow, wrist. And then reach it up and over to the left, shoulder, elbow, wrist. One more like that. Reach it up, shoulder, elbow, wrist. Reach it up one more time. This arm reaches, shoulder blade stays down, and now bend into your elbow so your thumb is coming towards your face, and just begin to shake your wrist out. Like you have a little bit of water on your wrist, and just shake it out, and let this hand just fly around a little bit here, a little bit there, and then slowly come back down to the floor. Now begin to lift this left hand towards the ceiling. Imagine that imaginary point on the ceiling. And begin to draw small circles around it first. So this time we'll spiral our way all the way out to big circles. So small, small, and pause and reverse. And draw them bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually they'll get so big, it was just like where the right arm started, and then pause and reverse. And go for another 3, 2, 1. Then we'll reach the left hand back towards the ceiling, grab that imaginary ski lift, the left shoulder blade lifts, and then thud the shoulder down. So we lift the shoulder blade and it thuds down. Imagine like kneading dough behind your shoulder as we lift and just let it thud with no control. We're not placing the shoulder down, we're letting it thud, breaking up any stuck energy, and reach and drop, reach and drop. And now in this next one, we'll go shoulder, elbow, wrist. So reach up and out, shoulder, elbow, wrist. Reach up and out, shoulder, elbow, wrist. One more, shoulder, elbow, wrist. We'll reach the left hand back towards the ceiling. Bend into the elbow so thumb comes towards forehead. And just begin to shake this left hand like those little clapper toys. And just shake it out. Shake, shake, shake. Let it travel around. And then slowly bring the left arm by your side. Now from here, just begin to reach for opposite elbows and hands grab opposite elbows right up over the body. Now let's just begin to let both arms fall over towards the right, gaze goes to the right, and then come through center, both elbows fall towards the left, gaze to the left. And now just go back and forth, right to left, right to left. Gaze always goes with the elbows. And now this next time you come towards the right, gaze towards the left. And then come through center, let the elbows go to the left, gaze towards the right. Just noticing any difference. And now go back and forth like that. Just changing your viewpoint and how it changes the stretch. Back and forth. Back and forth. Do one more, even it out each way. Come back through center. Release the arms by your side and slowly extend the legs out one by one. Now let's just allow this awareness, the attention to come up to our head, and let's just begin to roll our head from side to side, trying to bring cheek as close as we can towards the mat, rolling side to side. And maybe you notice that this cheek can't touch the ground. Maybe there's something in the way, like your shoulder. So the next time we roll to the left, let's notice how it is and then come back to center with the head. Now let's take the left hip, knee, and heel all in one and drive them down towards the left corner of the mat. And now left shoulder, elbow, and wrist and reach them down towards the left corner of the mat. And now see if your face can come a little closer to the mat. And then on an inhale, roll through center and do the same thing on the right. So right heel presses down the mat, right arm reaches down the mat and roll towards the right cheek. And now as you inhale and come back and go to the left, think of drawing the arm and leg away as you come to the left, and then just go back and forth. So you'll probably look a little bit like a baby throwing a temper tantrum on the floor at the grocery store, but that's all right. Just go back and forth for another 3, 2, 1, and then come back to center and just let everything relax onto the mat. Scan through your body, noticing how it feels to wake up some of that energy that got stuck, how it feels to align everything on the mat and not battle gravity for a little bit of the day. Allow yourself to do absolutely nothing. I encourage you to stay in this Shavasana for as long as you can or as long as it serves you. Thank you for joining me on the mat. It is an honor to guide you. Namaste.